What's Senator Rubio's hangover effect, if you will, from running and not ultimately becoming the nominee? Jim?
Well, I look at it a little differently. I think his entrance into this race, totally blew up the calculations that everybody was making about this race. The Democrats, they had Murphy, as Steve alluded to, is not that well known. But if he were running against the previous Republican field before Rubio got in, they were all unknown too. And it was a much more even field. But Rubio, he came out of the presidential race with some liabilities. The Democrats are hitting him for some of the statements he had said, well, I'm not going to run for Senate. I can better spend my time on the campaign trail than in the Senate. Those sorts of things. They're hitting him on those things. But he has so much name ID, and he's an experienced politician, that just his presence in the race, I think, just sucked a lot of oxygen out of both sides of it. And Murphy has the support of the White House. He has support of all the Democratic establishment. But he had that before Rubio made his decision. So I'm just not sure that it's real easy to overcome that name ID and the presence that Rubio has in the state.
There is an enthusiasm gap among some Republicans, and that, I think, is the hangover effect. It is that those that really are not happy with what Rubio did on immigration reform, those to the right of center, the Tea Party groups that really want us, that are holding it against him. And I think that's possibly why he did so poorly against Trump around Florida in the Republican primary. So I think that could hurt him if there's not that enthusiasm factor. The other niche, and I hate to keep hearkening back to this, but I think it's a crucial piece in Florida, and that is the Hispanic vote. Among Hispanics in Florida, he is tied with Murphy, even though they hardly know Murphy and they don't really know where Murphy is. But he is so Hispanics, who you'd think now that the older classic Cuban voters in Miami-Dade are supportive of Rubio, and that's the only county he won against Trump. But the other parts of the state, especially the I-4 corridor, which will make the difference where there's Puerto Rican influence, it's very clear that Rubio is not a favorite there among those Hispanic voters.
We were talking a moment ago about the enthusiasm gap, and I think that is something that the Democrats are facing right now. They may not like to acknowledge it, but I think we saw glimmers of it in the primary in August as far as turnout went. Republicans had a lot more turnout. Rubio, in a arguably less competitive primary race, outperformed Patrick Murphy when it came to voter turnout. And I think you also saw during that election down in South Florida, which is the bedrock of Democratic voters, lower than state average voter turnout. I think those are all bad signs for the Democrats. I think that says that Democrats are not enthusiastic about this election year.